Wednesday, August 30th, 2023, AGNDD Intellireport topic: Rodrigo Duterte. Please pardon any visual and informational inaccuracies in this entirely AI-generated Wikipedia-sourced video article.
Rodrigo Duterte, born on March 28, 1945, in Masin, Southern Leyte, comes from a family with Chinese and political connections. His upbringing and education shaped his views and eventually led him to a career in law and politics. Rodrigo Duterte was born on March 28, 1945, in Masin, Southern Leyte. His father was a lawyer and his mother was a school teacher of Maranao descent. Duterte's family has Chinese and political connections, with his father and cousin both serving as mayors. Duterte's mother was an anti-Marcos activist, which influenced his views on the Marcos regime. The family moved to Mindanao in 1948 and settled in the Davao region in 1950. Duterte's father became involved in politics, while his mother worked as a teacher until 1952. Duterte attended Laboon Elementary School in Masin for a year before transferring to Santa Ana Elementary School in Davao City, where he completed his primary education. He finished his secondary education at Holy Cross College of Digos and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from the Lyceum of the Philippines in Manila. Duterte obtained his law degree from San Beda College of Law in 1972 and passed the bar exam in the same year. He worked as a special counsel and assistant city prosecutor in Davao City. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has asserted that he was sexually abused by a priest named Mark Falvey during his childhood. The Jesuits of the Society of Jesus in the Philippines have verified that Falvey faced allegations of sexually abusing minors in the United States between 1959 and 1975. Duterte explained that he did not report the abuse when it happened because he was young and felt intimidated by those in power. He also chose not to share this information with his family. In a rally in 2016, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte claimed that he shot a fellow student who had bullied him and other students of Visayan origin while they were at San Beda Law College. However, a former classmate of Duterte, Arthur Amansek, stated in an interview that both Duterte and the student were playing with a gun, and the bullet hit the school's wooden floor. Amansek emphasized that Duterte and the student remained friends until the student's death years later. After the 1986 People Power Revolution, Duterte became vice mayor of Davao City. He later served as mayor from 1988 to 1998, implementing a system of deputy mayors to represent different districts and ethnic groups. In 1998, he became a congressman, and in 2001, he was re-elected as mayor. Duterte has been involved in various humanitarian efforts, including providing aid to disaster-stricken areas and passing legislation to support women's rights. He also gained attention for supporting a Gawad Kalinga village inside a jail facility for female inmates. During Duterte's time as mayor of Davao City, the city experienced economic growth and a decrease in crime rates. It was recognized as one of the safest cities in the country and received awards for being child-friendly. Duterte implemented various policies such as a ban on alcohol sales during certain hours, reduced speed limits, anti-smoking regulations, and a firecracker ban. He also prioritized public safety by acquiring ambulances and patrol vehicles and mandating the installation of CCTV cameras in commercial centers. However, Duterte faced criticism for an incident where he forced a tourist to swallow a cigarette butt for violating the anti-smoking ordinance. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have linked Duterte to over 1,400 extrajudicial killings by vigilante death squads. The UN report stated that Duterte did nothing to prevent these killings and even expressed support for them. Duterte has denied responsibility but has also openly supported the killings. In 2015, he confirmed his links to extrajudicial killings and threatened to kill up to 100,000 criminals if elected president. He challenged human rights officials to provide evidence of his links with vigilante groups. In September 2014, Duterte and other local leaders formed the Mindanao Council of Leaders to support a federalist government. The following month, Duterte attended an event organized by the Federal Movement for a Better Philippines. In December 2014, Duterte organized a summit called Mindanaoans Forging Unity Toward a Federal System of Government. In early 2015, Duterte hinted at his intention to run for president in the 2016 elections, but denied it multiple times. In January, he mentioned abolishing Congress if elected. On November 21st, he formally announced his presidential bid and accepted Alan Peter Cayetano's offer to be his running mate. He also named his daughter Sara Duterte as his substitute for mayor. Duterte campaigned on introducing a federal parliamentary government and promised to eliminate crime within 6 months by taking strong action against criminals. During the 2016 presidential election, Duterte campaigned for decentralization and a shift to a federal government. He called for the creation of 2 federal states for the Moro people as a solution to the problems in Mindanao. Duterte also expressed openness to toning down the Constitution to attract more foreign investors, including allowing up to 70% foreign ownership of businesses and foreign lease of lands up to 60 years, but he would leave the final decision to Congress. During a campaign rally in 2016, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte made controversial comments about a gang rape victim. He expressed regret for his gutter language, but refused to apologize for being misinterpreted. Duterte threatened to sever diplomatic ties with the U.S. and Australia after their ambassadors criticized his remarks. His daughter later revealed that she was a rape victim but would still support her father. Duterte doubted her story and called her a drama queen. In a campaign speech in 2016, the speaker, who is not mentioned, made controversial statements. He mentioned that if elected president, his term would be tumultuous, but he would grant numerous pardons daily to law enforcement and military personnel accused of human rights violations. Additionally, he stated his intention to pardon himself for mass murder at the end of his 6-year term. On May 30, 2016, Rodrigo Duterte was proclaimed as the president-elect of the Philippines after winning the 2016 presidential election with 16,601,997 votes. Leni Robredo was declared as the vice president-elect with 14,418,817 votes. Duterte had a lead of 6.6 million votes over his closest rival, Mar Roxas, while Robredo narrowly defeated Bongbong Marcos by 263,473 votes. Rodrigo Duterte was inaugurated as the 16th president of the Philippines on June 30, 2016. He became the oldest person elected to the presidency at the age of 71. During his first 100 days in office, Duterte focused on disaster risk reduction, decongesting the Manila airport, addressing territorial disputes in the South China Sea, and implementing policies on poverty reduction and capital punishment. He also sought to improve relations with China and Russia and faced criticism for his war on drugs, which resulted in thousands of deaths. Duterte's trust rating was high, and he was ranked 70th on Forbes' list of the world's most powerful people. Dutertenomics refers to President Duterte's socioeconomic policies aimed at promoting economic growth and human development in the Philippines. These policies include tax reform, infrastructure development, social protection programs, and liberal economic reforms to attract foreign investors. The government aims to achieve high-income economy status by 2022 and has implemented measures such as amending the Foreign Investment Act and Public Service Act to relax restrictions on foreign investments. Tax reforms, including the Train Law and CREATE Act, have been implemented to make the tax system fairer and more efficient. Sin taxes have also been increased to fund healthcare initiatives. The Duterte administration initiated the Build, Build, Build program in 2017 with the goal of addressing poverty, fostering economic growth, and easing congestion in Metro Manila. The program focused on boosting investments in public infrastructure and redirecting funds from public-private partnerships to government revenues and official development assistance. The roster of infrastructure flagship projects was expanded to encompass health, ICT, and water infrastructure initiatives. As of April 2022, 12 projects have been finalized, while several others have been handed over to the succeeding administration for continuation. The program has witnessed the completion of various endeavors, including roads, bridges, flood control projects, classrooms, and COVID-19 facilities. After his inauguration, President Duterte launched a nationwide anti-drug campaign in the Philippines, urging citizens and even rebel groups to join the fight against illegal drugs. The campaign has resulted in a significant number of deaths, with official figures stating that 5,100 drug personalities have been killed as of January 2019. However, some news organizations and human rights groups claim the death toll is much higher, ranging from over 12,000 to over 20,000. Duterte initially aimed to eliminate illegal drugs within 3 to 6 months, but later admitted underestimating the gravity of the problem. the government has implemented the Barangay Drug Clearing Program to eradicate drugs in affected areas, with progress reported in clearing a significant number of barangays. Duterte has acknowledged the struggles of the Moro people and their fight for dignity, stating that they are not terrorists. He has taken steps to address their concerns, such as expanding the Bangsamoro Transition Commission and signing the Bangsamoro Organic Law. Duterte also oversaw the Battle of Marawi and declared martial law in Mindanao. In addition, he signed the controversial Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020 and granted amnesty to members of the Moro National Liberation Front and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Duterte initially pursued peace talks with the Communist Party of the Philippines, CPP, but canceled negotiations in 2017 after attacks by NPA rebels. He declared the CPP-NPA as a terrorist organization and created Task Force Balik Lub for the reintegration of former rebels. In 2018, he established the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, NTF-LKC, to combat extremism. Duterte terminated peace negotiations in 2019, stating that land reform was already being implemented. The NDF was designated as a terrorist organization in 2021. Since Duterte took office, over 20,000 rebels have surrendered. The Duterte administration initially favored coal as the main source of energy for industrialization, but later shifted towards renewable energy. They issued a moratorium on new coal power plants and promoted the use of microgrid systems in underserved areas. Duterte also approved the inclusion of nuclear power in the energy mix and established the Energy Investment Coordinating Council to simplify project approvals. The administration signed the Paris Agreement on climate change but emphasized that rich countries should compensate smaller countries for climate change damage. Duterte implemented reforms to reduce bureaucracy and improve transparency in the government. He introduced measures to eliminate redundant and burdensome processes, established the Freedom of Information policy, and signed the Ease of Doing Business Act to streamline business operations. He also enacted a law allowing the president to expedite the issuance of permits and licenses during national emergencies. Additionally, he established the 8,888 Citizens Complaint Hotline for reporting complaints about government services and corruption. Duterte has taken several steps to improve the healthcare system in the Philippines. He certified the Universal Healthcare Bill as urgent and signed the Universal Healthcare Act, which enrolls all Filipinos in the government's health insurance program. He also enacted the National Integrated Cancer Control Act and the Philippine Mental Health Law, providing accessible and affordable treatment for cancer and mental health. Duterte also institutionalized malasakit centers for financial medical assistance and implemented the Reproductive Health Law, banned smoking in public places, and set price caps on certain medicines. Duterte signed several laws related to education in the Philippines. These include the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, which provides free college education in state universities and colleges. He also signed a law allowing foreign universities to offer degree programs in the country, a law providing medical scholarships, a law institutionalizing the alternative learning system, and a law granting inclusive education for learners with disabilities. Additionally, he established the National Academy of Sports in New Clark City. The Duterte administration in the Philippines is pursuing an independent foreign policy that prioritizes national sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the right to self-determination. President Duterte has sought to improve relations with China and Russia while reducing dependence on the United States. He has taken a more conciliatory approach towards China, setting aside previous confrontational policies regarding the South China Sea. Duterte's first international trips were to Laos and Indonesia in September 2016. President Duterte and his administration have faced criticism for their anti-drug campaign, foreign policies, human rights record, and extrajudicial killings. However, despite these criticisms, Duterte maintains relatively high trust and approval ratings. In the first half of his term, he had a record net satisfaction rating of 68%. His approval rating was at 79% in April 2019 and 87% in December 2019. Additionally, Duterte and his administration received high approval ratings for their handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Duterte's anti-drug campaign has faced criticism for being a political strategy and for targeting the poor. International publications and the United Nations have called for an end to the killings and investigation of human rights abuses. Despite the criticism, Duterte defends his efforts and believes the number of deaths is a measure of success. Many Filipinos support the campaign, citing a perception of reduced drugs and crime. Duterte has admitted that ending drugs will take his entire term, acknowledging a mistake in his initial timeline. Human Rights Watch, HRW, has criticized the first year of President Duterte's administration in the Philippines, calling it a human rights calamity. HRW estimates that around 7,000 people have been killed since Duterte took office in June 2016. The Duterte administration temporarily suspended the war on drugs in February 2017 to address corruption within the police force. HRW released a report titled License to Kill in March 2017, highlighting police-related shootings. The International Criminal Court, ICC, is currently investigating Duterte's involvement with death squads, despite the Philippines withdrawing from the ICC in 2019. Opposition members in the Philippines have criticized the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Criticisms include President Duterte's controversial remarks about shooting violators of quarantine protocols and the delayed arrival of vaccines in the country. In addition, Duterte faced criticism for publicly taking the Sinopharm BIBP vaccine before it was approved by the Philippine Food and Drug Administration, while the general population had limited access to other vaccines. Militant groups are criticizing the relationship between President Duterte and China, citing the Chinese occupation of disputed waters and reported harassment of fishermen in the South China Sea. They also criticize Philippine-U.S. relations, despite the U.S. being critical of the Philippine drug war campaign due to perceived U.S. imperialism and neoliberal policies. Duterte's tax reform program, also known as the Train Law, has received both support and criticism. Critics argue that it places a heavy burden on the poor, resulting in protests and demands for its repeal. However, proponents emphasize the program's attractiveness to foreign investors and its potential economic advantages as justifications for tax reform. Duterte has faced international criticism for his records on human rights and offensive comments. He has been portrayed as having a dirty mouth and has made controversial statements about rape, human rights, media killings, and used slurs. He has also criticized the Catholic Church and made controversial remarks to international leaders and institutions. Despite promising to behave in a prim and proper manner, Duterte's behavior has been widely criticized throughout his presidency. In a recent interview, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte stated that he sees nobody deserving to replace him as the next president. However, he mentioned that he would either remain neutral or endorse a candidate. Initially, Duterte announced his candidacy for vice president, leading to speculation that he may extend his term. However, he later withdrew and announced his retirement from politics. Duterte's daughter, Sara Duterte, also changed her plans and decided to run as vice president under a different party. Duterte endorsed a Go-Sara tandem and later withdrew his vice presidential bid to run as a senator. Duterte's popularity has influenced the presidential race, with several candidates seeking his endorsement. Duterte has insisted on endorsing only Sara as vice president and remaining neutral in the presidential race. After his term, Duterte returned to Davao City and maintained a low profile. In January 2023, he resumed hosting his show Gikan sa Masa para sa Masa on SMNI. Under the Bongbong Marcos administration, tensions between the Philippines and China grew due to the country's alignment with the United States. In July 2023, Duterte met with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, where Xi urged him to continue improving relations. Duterte later discussed this meeting with Marcos and offered advice. Ardent supporters of Duterte, known as die-hard Duterte supporters, or Daigong Duterte supporters, have been labeled as such due to their strong support for the president. Duterte has gained popularity through his tough-talking style, perceived success in fighting crime and corruption, and his image as a father figure. Despite criticism of his authoritarian style and low tolerance for dissent, Duterte remains popular among the public. Surveys have shown high satisfaction ratings for his governance and policies, although some respondents find his vulgarity off-putting. Even after leaving office, Duterte continues to be popular, as shown in recent surveys for the 2025 Philippine Senate election. Multiple Facebook groups with the acronym DDS have been supporting Duterte since 2011. These groups include the Duterte Defense Squad, Digong Duterte Supporters Registered Nurses Group, Duterte's Destiny is to Serve the Country, Digong Duterte Suerte, and Davsur Duterte Supporters. In 2015, members of these groups encouraged Duterte to run for president. Despite criticism and international opposition to his anti-narcotics drive, Philippine President Duterte maintained relatively high approval ratings throughout his presidency. Surveys conducted throughout his term showed trust ratings ranging from 79% to 91%, and approval ratings ranging from 45% to 87%. During the COVID-19 pandemic, his approval ratings remained high, with 84% approving of the government's efforts to control the spread of the virus. Duterte left office with his highest net satisfaction rating of 81% and was considered the most popular post-EDSA president. Duterte initially identified as left-leaning but has emphasized his support for democracy and distanced himself from communism. He was previously associated with the leftist group Kabatang Makabayan and studied under Jose Maria Sison, a prominent Philippine leftist. However, his relationship with the communists soured during his presidency due to ongoing rebel attacks on soldiers despite peace talks. Duterte is a fan of big bikes and has owned a second-hand Harley-Davidson and a Yamaha Virago. He used to be a smoker but quit due to health concerns. He enjoys reading Robert Ludlum and Sidney Sheldon novels. Duterte is known for his straightforward and vocal attitude, often using profanity in interviews. He has his own local show called Gikan sa Masa para sa Masa. Duterte is fluent in Cebuano, Filipino, and English. He has a tradition of visiting children with cancer in Davao City and giving them Christmas gifts. Rodrigo Duterte's father, Vicente, died in 1968, and his mother, Soledad, died in 2012. Duterte was previously married to Elizabeth Zimmerman, and they have 3 children together. However, their marriage ended in 2000 due to Duterte's infidelity. Despite this, Duterte and Zimmerman have reconciled in recent years. Duterte is currently in a relationship with Cielito Avancena, and they have 1 daughter. Duterte has familial ties to prominent families in the Visayas region of the Philippines. Duterte has described himself as Christian and spiritual, but he rejects Catholicism and organized religion. He challenges the Catholic Church to prove the existence of God while believing in a supreme God and a universal mind. He has referred to God as Allah and considers himself partly Islamic. Duterte's spiritual advisor is Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. Despite being raised Catholic, Duterte has not attended Mass for a long time, believing it conflicts with his mayoral duties. He feels that following religious teachings would hinder his ability to govern. Duterte has Buerger's disease and Barrett's esophagus, but denies rumors of throat cancer. He admitted to using the opioid drug fentanyl prescribed for back pain, but denies being a drug addict. He has also mentioned using Viagra. A psychological assessment found him to have antisocial narcissistic personality disorder. Duterte has also revealed that he has myasthenia gravis, a neuromuscular disease affecting his eye. Duterte has rejected an honorary degree from the University of the Philippines due to opposition from university members. Meanwhile, the Davao City Council has declared Duterte's birthday, March 28th, as Duterte Day to acknowledge his significant contributions to the city and the Philippines. The Knight Grand Cross of Rizal, KGCR, is an award given in 2017 for promoting understanding between the Philippines and China. The Awards for Promoting Philippines-China Understanding, APPCU, has also recognized this individual, inducting them into the Hall of Fame in 2023. Duterte received an honorary doctorate degree in international relations from the Moscow State Institute of International Relations. He was also awarded the Grand Knight of the Most Esteemed Order of Sultan Ibrahim of Johor in Malaysia and the Sultan of Brunei Golden Jubilee Medal. The given information is a citation for a journal article titled, The Philippines 2017, Duterte-Led Authoritarian Populism and Its Liberal Democratic Roots by Hugo Bon. It was published in the journal Asia Mayor and discusses the rise of authoritarian populism under President Duterte in the Philippines. The citation also includes information about the journal and its publisher. The second part of the information is unrelated and seems to be about a video game called The Punisher. In conclusion, Rodrigo Duterte's upbringing in a politically connected family, his education and his early career in law laid the foundation for his future role as a prominent figure in Philippine politics.
Hope you enjoyed this AGNDD Intellireport. Like, subscribe, and click the bell button to get notified during new uploads. And make sure to tune in next time. Stay safe and healthy. Cheers.